Welcome on in, everybody. Today we're going to be doing a little segment that is near and dear to our hearts, dealing with a little bit of fantasy football waiver wire pickups. It'll be a weekly episode, so if you're interested in fantasy football whatsoever, make sure you guys are subscribed, turn the notifications on. We got a little bit of a list here for you guys today. In my opinion, not the biggest week.
It's not that great. I would not waste your pick on too many of these players or spend too much of your fab if you guys have that in your league. I would say number one pickup, though, is Eli Mitchell for the 49ers. He's available in 89% of leagues, and
he had a good game, and he was definitely the primary back.
Yeah, Mostert got hurt. Trey Sermon, they didn't even think he was the best running back out of the three guys they had. So I think Mitchell is their primary back. It's a running team. If he's available and you can get him, I definitely think he's worth taking for the long term.
Yeah. Now, I have the number one waiver in my league, and I'm not going to waste it on him just yet. I think Trey Sermon's going to come in and play this week as long as he's good to go.
Probably.
Which he should be.
Yeah.
So I feel like he could take touches away. That would still be my number one, though. The number two, probably the only other person I'd even consider wasting fab on this week or a waiver is Gronk, and he's not even available in that many leagues.
He's not, but he got 8 targets and 8 receptions for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns. If he's available, you take him.
You have to take him. Him and Tom Brady look like him and Tom Brady of the
They got that connection all the time. But for tight ends, you're looking for who gets the most targets, and he's up there.
And then we also had a couple other guys at running back, probably worth noting for sure. Mark Ingram, depending on how deep that your leagues are too, and how your running backs are looking. I mean, maybe you have somebody that kind of went down, maybe like a Mostert. Then picking somebody up like Ingram to play in that spot would be a pretty
he's
good
their primary back. He's only owned in 20% of leagues, so he's definitely worth taking. He had a good game first week. I don't see him being too consistent, though, maybe throughout the whole season.
Yeah, he didn't really break off anything huge, but he had 26 carries.
That's a lot.
A ton.
That's
and they
a
have
lot.
2 other running backs, David Johnson and Phillip Lindsay, and he handled most of the bulk right there.
Yeah, if he's available, I would take him. He definitely shouldn't just be sitting in free agency. What else? Any receivers that you guys need? I wouldn't waste any of your picks or fab too much on them. One mention, I think, could be Tim Patrick or KJ Hamler. Jerry Jeudy got hurt this week, so one of them will be picking up the slack from him. They're available in 98% of leagues. So if you're desperate for some receivers, definitely take a look at them.
I'm a Tim Patrick guy out of those two. I think that's who I would go for.
Yeah, me too. He always seems to get some targets and everything, especially last year. I definitely heard of his name a lot of the time.
Who else we got, Joe? Sterling Shepard had a good game.
100 yards, I think 113, a touchdown. He definitely seems like he might be the number one.
Now, these wide receivers, I wouldn't waste a waiver pick on them, or maybe not even any fab, honestly. I don't think it's worth it. You just pick them up after the waiver wire has passed through for free if you really need somebody, just because the wide receivers, there's so much depth there that it's really not worth wasting any of that stuff on.
Christian Kirk, he's another one for the Cardinals. He had a great game. He's available in 85% of leagues.
He's a really underrated player, too. He gets deep touchdowns. He had a touchdown in week 1, which is good. Yeah. But that's a guy that can go yard for a 70 bomb. So.
Yeah, no doubt. And then, if you need a QB, obviously number one pick is Jameis Winston. He's available in 56% of leagues.
And my man this week number 2, Teddy Bridgewater. Easy matchup versus Jacksonville. They gave up 23 points to Tyrod Taylor. I think Teddy Two Gloves can get it done. So, hey.
Yeah, if you're in desperate need. And then who the Jets play this week? The Patriots?
Oh.
Mac Jones?
Oh.
If you have to. That's
a little bit
desperate,
more risky, but
your QB has a tough matchup. You're in desperate need. Might not be too bad.
That got to be a deep league for that. Hey, you need to start him. You could start him. It's not like he can't have a big game versus a really bad team.
Exactly. And then defense. Packers. I know you guys had a bad game last week, but they're playing the Lions this week.
Yeah. You have to get them. As far as defenses go, I need all of you to listen to me. You're going to be doing yourselves a favor. Play matchups on defense. So you had a really good defense that played in week number 1 in their version of powerhouse offense. There's no need to start them. Pick up a team like the Green Bay Packers or somebody that versus a little less of an offense, and that's going to help you out in the long run. Trust me. Couple more players, just worth noting. Taysom Williams and Latavius Murray.
It's crazy. I was so big on Williams at the
he had
start
the
of that
big
game
touchdown,
yesterday. He had a big touchdown. I'm like, man, here we go. But then, second half, I seen Latavius Murray like
They
the
trust
whole
him more.
half.
They trust him more.
And I was like, what happened? So
The only thing that I'm a little bit concerned about also, they're bringing in Le'Veon Bell and Devonta Freeman too.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, I personally like Latavius Murray out of all of them. That's
I do
who
too.
I would pick up
He's
if it was
reliable.
me.
Yeah.
Especially, you've seen what they did later in the second half into overtime. They were giving him the ball.
Exactly.
It wasn't Williams.
And then another good pick, especially if you're a PPR league, Naheem Hines.
He gets catches.
He got a lot of
does.
catches. He just signed a freaking contract extension.
Mhm. They
If
wanna
he's
use him.
available, take him. Especially if you have PPR, half PPR, take him. He will get you some points week to week.
He's definitely one of the better backups in the league for sure.
Yeah,
and if
no
there's
doubt.
if some happens to Jonathan Taylor, he's going to be
He's
a
the guy.
stud for you. But
Yeah.
I would definitely have him. Two other players. If you're in a pinch for a tight end, if you don't have the top 3 or 4 guys, then having a tight end that's consistent for you every single week is near impossible. 2 guys that I'm looking for. Cole Kmet, Chicago Bears. We're looking at targets now whenever we're talking about tight ends.
Yep.
I don't really like to look at maybe they score a lucky touchdown or 2. For example, who was it? The guy from
The
New
Saints,
Orleans?
he had 2 touchdowns, but they were just in the red zone.
Right, which
He
it's
didn't have-
good to get the red zone
It is,
targets.
but he didn't have any yards though.
was
So
no
I mean, he
yards.
could either he's the type of guy, he's either going to put up points for you or he's going to put up a stinker.
Yeah, we definitely got to monitor him. But
Yeah.
for me right now, it's Cole Kmet, it's Dalton Schultz. He came back. He was looking great. 7 targets for him. So I would pick up those 2 guys before I picked up the guy from the Saints.
Yeah, I would too. Tight end, you're going for targets.
Let us know if we missed anybody for the waiver wire pickups. Let us know how your team did in week number 1 as well. You want to know? You 0-1? Look, whether you 0-1 or 1-0, this waiver wire week could be the difference at the
Pick
end.
them up.